This is Dr. Jared Leon, and I am going to be your host on an extraordinary journey of ideal protein because it works. Let's get started with some obesity statistics. 2 out of every 3 American adults are overweight. 1 in 3 U.S. children are overweight or obese. $147 billion is spent in a given year from U.S. Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurers on obesity-related healthcare. Obese people consume an estimated 40% more healthcare dollars compared to non-obese people. So basically what we're saying on these slides are dramatic, that almost anyone who happens to be overweight is spending a ton of U.S. money to support a problem that is not actually fixing anything. It's sustaining America's problem, and this problem is getting worse. The number one reason people go into the hospitals every single year, spending trillions, I said trillions of dollars, is inflammation. Inflammation is from your diet, from being obese, from central weight gain, which causes acidity to your system. Acidity breeds pain, inflammation, and pathology, disease, and cancer. Metabolic syndrome components in the US adults, right? So this is a huge piece of why I love Ideal Protein so much. It's one of the few lifestyle approaches that talk about metabolic syndrome. In a few slides, we'll also be calling it Syndrome X. What metabolic syndrome is 53% of it is going to be abdominal obesity. 39% of it is going to be high blood sugar. We call that diabetes or pre-diabetic. 40% is going to be hypertension, high blood pressure. 25% is going to be low HDLs or high density lipoproteins. And then 31% is going to be high triglycerides. So if you just think of this right now, take a moment, impress upon yourself. You see someone walking down the street. It might be yourself. See someone in a store like Walmart, Kmart, Target. They have a belly. Okay, that's the abdominal obesity. That's what it means. Larger belly. High blood sugar. That means they're probably a diabetic, so now there's a good chance they're on a diabetic medication. High blood pressure, well, that's a sign of a potential heart attack, and they're probably going to be on high blood pressure medication. And then the last one, they're going to be on triglycerides or cholesterol meds or statins, right? So when you look at it like this, you're looking, wow, blood sugar, blood pressure, triglycerides are all one-a-day drugs for the rest of your life. So you can palliate these symptoms by taking drugs. Of course, I will never say otherwise. But the truth is, did that get you well? Is that sustaining into the money that we spoke of 2 slides ago? And the answer is yes. So the change here is to change your mind to go forward. The culprit is sugar. So this is one of my favorite slides, and usually I do this presentation live every month, and I appreciate you joining me right now, by the way, for this webinar. But all carbohydrates become sugar. This is my favorite slide. So that means 4 grams of carbohydrates equal 1 teaspoon of sugar. 4 grams of carbohydrates equal a teaspoon of sugar. So when you look at the back of food, if it's labeled, right? When we look at the sugar, sure, that makes sense. It's easy. 8 grams, 10 grams, 20 grams, like in a soda, sure. But what you didn't think of potentially is that you take the 4 grams of carbs, and if it's, say, 24 grams of carbs, you break that and divide it down, and you're like, whoa, that's some sugar we're talking about also. So what I want you to do is impress upon you that all your sugar concepts and your carbs turn back into sugar into the human body, and that's important going forward. In the year 1905, North Americans ingested 5 pounds of sugar per year. That means one person ate about 5 pounds of sugar. In the year 2009, which is a little older than that, but you know, we're a few years past this now, North Americans ingested, how much do you think, before I give you the answer in the next slide, take a moment. How much do you think, in my audience, I always ask everyone to give me this answer. So what do you think Ready, set, be staggered. 150 to 200 pounds of sugar. And I know you're thinking that can't be, and I'm saying, oh, I know. That is insane. That's a whole human, basically, of sugar that you're eating a year. Insane. Sugar causes disease, causes inflammation, causes acidity in the system, causes pain pathways, causes the immune system to go down, causes all the other stuff we spoke of. Plus, it leads to fat. Interesting. The modern day epidemic is Syndrome X. We call it metabolic syndrome. I spoke of it before. Assume when you're looking at this slide, you're standing in the middle of the X up to the point of your life you are now or prior to ever hearing this talk. Or at least let's hope when you were, under the age of 10 to 13, you start gaining a little bit of weight. And now when this happens, you're moving a little bit to the up left corner of the abdominal obesity. Now you keep gaining weight. By the time you're 17 to 25, in that range, you've gained an additional 50 pounds of, not muscle. Let's leave it at that to be nice, okay? So now you've gained this excess weight. You have some blood pressure issues potentially. You get some blood sugar issues potentially. You start getting the cholesterol issues. Now the extra weight is adding on. Now you're 30, early 30s, just had a child. Life is getting a little bit more hectic in life. So you just keep going up and down this slide until eventually you hit all four corners of the X. That is what Syndrome X means. Doesn't mean you have to have all this, but it means there's a good chance this is what's going on. This is not good. This is what's happening in America as we speak. That's why the top 5 last years of death in America is going to be heart attack, right? Pain syndromes in hospitals, as we spoke of, cancers, disease states. We don't want this, right? Cholesterol alone can cause a heart attack. Blood pressure alone can cause a heart attack. You don't want to have diabetic ulcers, diabetic neuropathies, diabetic loss of gangrene, losing limbs. I've seen it all. We don't want that. So let's move beyond Syndrome X. Let's get healthy. Let's see how this works. Where are we headed? The current generation of children may have a shorter lifespan than their parents. So again, in my audience, I'm always like, who has kids? Raise your hand. And raise your hand if you have children. And think if they passed before you based off the food. Illegal it should be. Illegal. 1 in 3 U.S. children are expected to develop diabetes. That's crazy. Over 1 in 4 Americans ages 17 to 24 are unfit to military service. So that means if we reinstigated the draft and brought it back into society, a lot of people, a quarter of us would not be able to be fit. This is not good. Obvious stuff. Let's talk about how we can go beyond this. Why and how do we store fat? This is a really profound slide. I'm going to break it down nice and slow because this is one of my favorites, okay? So if I said, it's a little out of order, but lack of exercise. If you sit on a couch every day and just eat food, so now we incorporated the bad eating habits, we know that there's a good chance you're going to gain weight. And it's going to be a dramatic ratios. It's going to be mostly visceral fat, not even like, I don't want to call it a healthier fat, but a wider human, for instance, doesn't have so much pressure on the visceral system, the organs. So visceral fat is by far in all the literature the worst thing to develop, and that is abdominal obesity. Why does this happen if you have a dysfunctional pancreas? So once again, a few slides from now, we're going to talk with this, but this is one of the defining moments of the Ideal Protein program. Very few other lifestyle choices or diets talk about the dysfunctional pancreas. We all know if we eat bad, sure, it makes sense. We all know if we don't exercise, sure, that makes sense. Sitting on the couch will never make me better. But the dysfunctional pancreas, let's look a little deeper into that, please. The culprit is insulin. So if you remember the pancreas, the concept of why we have a pancreas is to produce insulin, right? There are certain cells inside the pancreas that produce insulin. So insulin has 2 major roles: to lower blood sugar. So that means if we eat some stuff that looks, any of these pictures on this beautiful slide here, those, donuts, that sugar, soda right there, that chocolate cake. Insulin needs to be produced by our pancreas to lower blood sugar so we don't basically have a diabetic coma, right? We also know that insulin has another role to store calories in the form of fat. So why would it do that? It would do that to potentially save you some energy, right? You're having all this excess sugar coming in. Your body's like, wow, let's lower our blood sugar by producing some insulin. And then if we can't utilize that energy, what's it going to do? It's going to store it in the form of fat, because fat is a really, really great conductor of energy. But the problem is it's really hard to burn fat, right? If fat was the easiest thing to liberate, everyone would lose weight right away. Your body has three sources of energy. Your body will always burn the carbohydrates or the glucose and sugar first. Once the source of energy is used, your body turns to protein and fat. With the ideal protein protocol, you will maintain your muscle mass and burn stored fat for energy. That's a big one. Let's understand this one, okay? So in other words, to repeat, with the program in Ideal Protein, the protocol is going to allow you to maintain muscle mass because you're getting enough protein in your life, and you will burn stored fat for energy. This is huge. This piggybacks the slide before. You know, we can always use glucose for energy. It's a quick burn, it's fast. The body can break down muscle as well to use for energy, but fat, man, will that liberate more energy than any other way. We just need the science to break it down. With typical diets, you lose three things. And this is just the way it works. Think of any given time in life, you've gone up and down, up and down, up and down. The yo-yo diet, right? The first few days, you're like, dude, I dropped tons of weight because you lost water. Water is always number one. Then you're going to lose fat. Great. We don't want that. We want to get rid of that fat. We want to get to the essential fats your body needs to live. And then you have lean tissue, including muscle. So that means a normal diet, you are losing muscle. So if you regain the weight, you regain back more fat. This is why the yo-yo dieting is so bad for the human system. The system was designed, if we're going to sustain weight, it pays for you to actually to be healthier. You would have been healthy if you just sustained being overweight. But when you try to lose 20 pounds, you regain 30, you lose 20, you gain back 40, you lose 30, you gain back 60. You're never coming back and adding in muscle. So your system is weaker and you have more fat. Not good. So this is exactly what I just stated. So if you lose 20 pounds, we lose approximately about 10 pounds of fat, 10 pounds of water, and lean tissue, such as muscle. If we regain the 20 pounds, we put fat back on, but not muscle. So our bodies are in worse shape than before. Remember, muscle is the engine that burns calories. A low-calorie balanced diet. So that's the average American diet we see every single day, okay? Well, you've tried in the past. You have the same proportions of the carbs, fats, and the proteins. You take the food pyramid and you just squash it all down because you're gonna have less calories. That's just a normal diet. It's the wrong approach for optimal fat loss and muscle sparing, because what will happen, you're gonna lose muscle loss, creating deficiency in vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes. This is bad. We don't want you to lose muscle. Muscle is so hard to put on. We need you to keep it. Why the Ideal Protein weight loss method, why it works, and how it really works. So as I just stated again, piggybacking from the last slide, a balanced diet is all the way on your left. It's the graph on the left side. It's the one that says 2,200 kilocalorie diet, okay? Kilocalories, the whole Ideal Protein methodology was designed in France for the French Olympians, and that is why it's in kilocalories. But for today's discussion, let's just make believe it's calories, so it's nice and simple, since, you know, we're in America and it's a lot easier some days. So if we look at a balanced diet, the carbs are always greater than the fat and the protein, which is really wrong, but I can't get into that today's discussion. Unless this is a live class, I get a little deeper, but today let's stay hyper-focused, okay? So a hypocaloric diet, that just means hypo, less than normal diet, right, of calories. We shrink the normal amount of calories. So in this method or model in the middle graph, they basically took it and divided it almost by half, okay? So what happens is you really don't feel great. You're losing weight, but your protein is also shrunk, so you're losing muscle. Phase 1 of the Ideal Protein Protocol is amazing. What we're doing here is we're changing the food pyramid around. You're not going into a full Atkins mode, in case you're thinking that. I've heard of Atkins and there's all protein, no carbs, no fat. We're not doing that, okay? The concept is you're going to keep your protein as the highest amount in your wheel or your food pyramid. And then the fats and the carbs are going to be modified. And then we are going to allow you, through science and nutrition, to take in vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes that you would normally be needing so you don't feel tired and run down in this program. So of course, on any given diet, we have to drop the amount of calories. But as you're going to see in a few slides, you're going to be liberating fat, which is going to amplify your energy. Pretty cool. The Ideal Protein weight loss method is all about reducing calories, maintaining vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes, maintaining your muscle mass, and ensuring the adequate protein intake. The beauty of this equation is you're going to feel good, look good, and really have the energy to endure your day, your kids, your loved ones, your family members, your work. You have to go to work. You need your energy. You need your brain, man. You got to focus. This is going to ensure that for you. Dieting and calories. So let's look at this. On average, a woman loses 2 to 3 pounds per week. It's about a pound of fat. It's about 4,000 kilocalories, right? It's about 4,000 calories. 2.5 pounds of fat is about 10,000 kilocalories. So if you look at it, it's just an equation. Take 10,000 divided by the 7 days. It's about 1,430 kilocalories a day. So it's about 850 from your diet, and that means you're going to be burning about 1,400 from the fat that's burning away. And that's going to give you the 2,200 kilocalories you're supposed to have in a given day. So in other words, forget the kilocalorie stuff. Just understand it this way. Of course, men statistically lose more weight. That's why we always, we talk about women for a moment, because 2 to 3 pounds is a good gist of a good average per week, okay? Guys might be 4 to 5. The concept of this slide is to understand that even though you're getting a lower amount of calories in your given day, that should actually make you fatigued and really tired, the fact that you're liberating calories from fat to be used for energy is showing you, or it'll prove to you if you're on the program, or if you have a friend or family who's already on the program, ask them. You don't feel tired. You feel energized. You feel excited. Yeah, the first 3 to 5 days are going to be tough, but the truth is, excuse me, every diet is going to be hard. You're getting rid of sugars. You're detoxing your body. You're getting rid of all the crazy stuff you've eaten. Let's move on. So why protein? People ask all the time, why protein? Well, you need to have protein to prevent muscle loss. Protein equals vitality in life. Everything which is vital in the human body is made of protein. Down to your, the amino acids that make you up, the 20 base pairs, which make up your DNA. It's protein. You are protein. You got to have protein. It is the key. And again, we're not overdoing protein for you. You're not going to look like the guy on the left instantaneously. That takes years of protein and working out and strategizing a lot, okay? You're not going to get it. We always ask that. Am I going to gain too much muscle? That would be awesome if it was true, but that is not going to happen. So why the ideal protein foods and not animal meat protein? I hear that all the time. So in other words, what we're saying is that it's this simple. If there's a fat content in calories for everything we eat, and if we basically assume in this relationship on the left-hand side, looking at the picture, if you're taking a 5-ounce piece of filet mignon, which is about 150 grams, it's approximately going to yield 35 grams of protein, right? But out of that, your body is only going to absorb approximately about 70% of that. So the total protein intake is 24 grams. If you take in versus, okay, an ideal protein food, which is basically a high biological value protein, assuming your mind's like pre-digested, it's easy to put into your system, it's very fast to assimilate. You're going to take in that 20 grams of protein, you're going to absorb about 95% of that. And these ratios are pretty accurate, but assume if you've been overweight for many, 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 many years, you may not even get 70% of your protein intake coming in from food, based off the ability of how healthy your gut flora is, which is another discussion. So ideal protein foods are the best way to get maximum protein in the minimum amount of calories. It always goes down to a science equation, and the simple answer is when you talk to your health coach, which is another amazing feature of this program, the concept is if you're not losing weight, we can figure out the why based off a science experiment, based off the algorithm we understand, if you're eating the exact amount of ideal protein foods. So in conclusion, no diet is definitive. It is not a cure against obesity, okay? Weight loss has two contracts with us. We want you to lose weight. Yes, we do. But we really want you to maintain weight loss. That is the key. We do not want another yo-yo dieter here. This is not what we're doing. This is not what I do here. I want to thank you for your time. I want to inspire you to make a change. I want you to get off the couch and get off your butt and do a program. If it's this one, great. If it's not, then take this information and use it for what you need it to do. If you're interested, the office is 631-689-1000. You will be getting a certificate at the end of this. Just please print it out, bring it to the office. You tell them you saw this webinar. I was going to call it a video, but it's a webinar. And you will actually get a $150 credit voucher for further ideal protein food in the clinic. We are that happy and profound to tell you that the information is the key. Knowledge is power. And with the right amount of knowledge and power, you can make the right choice. With the right choice, you have the fuel to really make change. Change is the key of everything to make you grow. And I know you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. So my name is Dr. Jared Leon. I am a wellness chiropractor.